Hello, creatures and cryptids. It is your favorite pink plague nurse, Nymphy. Before we start, I just want to apologize for not putting a video out last week. I was feeling very not good. The week before, I had been volunteering for my church's vacation Bible school, and I guess one of the grimy kids there gave me something, because I felt absolutely awful. It's not the virus. We tested. It wasn't the virus. It was just something. But I'm better now. I might still be a little bit sniffly today, so I apologize for that, but I hope this video is still enjoyable for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It would really help me out a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. Now, without further ado, let's get on to the video. You know what I hate? Bad horror movies that take themselves too seriously. Like, bad horror can be great, but only if the writers are self-aware that what they're producing is the movie equivalent of hot garbage. But do you want to know how I discovered my abhorrent hatred for shitty movies? This is the 2019 movie, Kindred Spirits. It's on Hulu and can be classified as a thriller/drama, but to be honest, I think it can be described as horror. The plot follows a 17-year-old girl whose aunt comes to live with her family and slowly manipulates everyone and tries to take over the girl's life. Sounds interesting. I mean, the plot formula has been proven to work, as I really like the other Hulu show, Cruel Summer, which had a similar premise, so this should be good, right? This movie has so many plot holes, it's practically a fishnet stocking. However, at the time, my mother and I did not know that, and we decided to watch it. That was a bad idea. Now, I usually don't make videos on things I hate, but this movie made me so angry that I'm going to have to. In the beginning, it's mostly world building. Nicole is 17, has a temper, and her aunt saved her from being run over when she was like 5. By the way, no hate to any of the actors in this movie. They did the best with what they could, and you gotta pay the bills somehow. Also, Nicole kinda looks like every Stranger Things character combined into one person. Like, that's not even a bad thing. I think she's really pretty. Anyways, Nicole has a boyfriend that kind of looks like a yassified mix of Brent Rivera and George Not Found. Never thought I'd say that. And is overall pretty happy. Oh yeah, her mom is also fucking her best friend's dad. I didn't pay attention to the first few minutes of the movie, so I didn't actually see him at first, but later he rolls up in his car and it's like obvious. Like, he's literally the only dude her mom's age in the whole movie. Of course they're fucking. Oh yeah, Chloe, that's her mom's name, catches Nicole putting her clothes back on after seeing Brent Rivera getting orange juice from the fridge while shirtless, and assumes that they just did the do. I mean, fair assumption. There's not much a horny teen does with their significant other while both are shirtless besides that. Nicole is pissed when her mom asks if she used protection, and then storms off when Chloe just says, "I just don't want you to make the same mistakes I did." Eesh, that's not the best way of reminding your daughter that you accidentally conceived her. I'd be pissed too if my mom called me a mistake. Chloe bitches to her boyfriend about how dramatic Nicole's being, which 10 out of 10 parenting, by the way. Afterwards, she goes into the room of Nicole, who's pretending to be asleep, and finds her holding a locket which has a picture of her Aunt Sadie in it. I'd like to point out that during this whole scene, the weirdest music is playing. My mom called it Harry Potter music, and like, yeah, that's basically what it is. It doesn't fit the movie at all. And it'll play at like all the wrong times. It's like the producers took areas where there was supposed to be music and swapped it with the areas that there wasn't, just to be edgy and avant-garde. Eventually, there's a scene where a bunch of basic mean girls are making fun of Nicole's outfit behind her back, even though Nicole is obviously within earshot and can hear everything. The outfit she's wearing isn't even bad. I think it's cute. Is this just what it's like in public high schools? Just hating on someone for not wearing what you're wearing? And even if it was a bad outfit, like, you're wearing the most basic Target sweatshirt that I've seen on at least 16 other girls in jeggings. You have no room to talk. The main mean girl walks up and is about to insult Nicole to her face, but Nicole slaps her. Yeah, she got suspended for that. Bitch had that slap coming though, to be honest. Not even for insulting Nicole, just for being the most cookie-cutter Disney Channel bully in existence. Nicole's mom picks her up and drives her home, where they find Nicole's Aunt Sadie sitting on the swing outside. Nicole is ecstatic because, as we'll come to see, they have a weirdly close relationship. Chloe is pissed because Sadie literally disappeared with no notice for an entire year, but not nearly as pissed as I think she should be. Like, she gets over it very quickly. We learned that Chloe basically raised Sadie because their mom was an alcoholic or something, and Sadie lived with her until literally the year before. This is one of the plot holes I think sticks out. You're telling me that this woman disappeared without a trace for an entire year, not contacting anyone, and then randomly shows up at her sister's house with no explanation, and yet is able to trick people into believing that she's mentally stable? This is a fully grown adult woman, by the way. This whole movie, you'll see everyone taking her side when she plays the victim and, like, never considering the fact that maybe, possibly, she could be lying, because there's no way a woman who drops off the face of the earth for an entire year and then returns like nothing wrong is mentally unwell. What are you talking about? Bro, and remember how I said that Nicole and Sadie have a weirdly close relationship? This is best exemplified by the fact that Sadie chooses to sleep in Nicole's bed with her, even though there's a whole spare room that she could use. Why the fuck would you want to do that? I would not be comfortable with that if I was Nicole. Like, I love my aunt, but I would not share a bed with her just because I can. There's literally zero reasons for doing this, and it's just giving me weird vibes. I get that she saved Nicole's life, but that probably happened before Nicole was even able to form fully functioning sentences. I mean, my old friend, whom I don't talk to anymore, her dad saved me from being swept away down the river and probably drowning once when I was 11. You don't see me getting all cozy. I don't even really like the dude. That whole family was a fucking mess. Not that I'm not grateful that he saved me, but I kind of consider it even, since later my dad saved his toddler from drowning in a pool. I got really sidetracked there, but back to the topic. Sadie is literally so annoying. From the moment she steps into the house, she's like 20-something and acts like a 5-year-old. And Chloe just enables it. Like, she trusts Sadie more than she trusts her own daughter. Which I'd get if Nicole was a bad kid, or if Sadie didn't disappear for an entire year. But Nicole doesn't really seem that bad. The only time I see her being a little bit disobedient is when she slapped that girl, and occasional moments when she's sassy. And usually she only does that when it's warranted. Nicole shows Sadie an old dollhouse that was put back together, and Sadie is all happy because she thought it was destroyed. You want to know why she thought it was destroyed? Because she smashed it to pieces while having a temper tantrum. They're not even trying to hide the fact that this bitch is off the rails. It's like she's covered in signs saying, I am an unstable adult, and yet everyone around her is Jared 19. You can tell that Sadie gets pissy because she isn't getting all the attention, just like a child. And then comes this scene where the two dress up in these costumes that have just been sitting in the garage because they used to play like that a lot in the past. Why do these clothes still fit? Why do they have fantasy costumes perfectly tailored to their recent measurements in their garage? Do they do this often? I feel like they were trying to make Nicole seem like a whimsical Anne of Green Gables type character, but they missed the mark by like 100 miles. Later, Sadie chaperones Nicole and her best friend, the one whose dad is doing Chloe, at a high school party, but instead of being a normal person, she pretends to be a high schooler too. Oh yeah, they all dress in some fantasy costumes too. Not as weird as the high school thing though. Meanwhile, back at their house, Chloe and the dad guy are discussing whether or not they should tell the kids about their relationship or not. Chloe says hell no, and the simp just lets her do what she wants. He also brings up how weird it is that Sadie wanted to go to a high school party, which, thank you. Finally someone in this movie who's not a complete moron. Unfortunately, instead of listening to him, Chloe brushes it off as some quirky thing, like, oh, she's always been immature. Dadman, I still don't know his name, asks how old Sadie is, and Chloe reveals that she's 25. Yikes. The scenes at the party are so funny to me because, like, I can tell that they were trying to do a Euphoria type scene with all the lights, but it's not working. I'm actually pretty sure that the lights are just overlays added post-filming because when they pulse, they go suspiciously opaque. And then there's this scene where Sadie is, like, uncomfortably close to Nicole. I'm not the only one who thinks this is weird, right? The nose touching? No thanks. No thanks. Afterwards, Sadie seems kind of drunk, but then again, she's insane and really bad at lying, so maybe she's completely sober. Anyways, some guy comes up and hands her a drink. They introduce themselves, and we find out that this guy is Kenny, the person hosting the party. Sadie lies and says she's a senior in high school and homeschooled because I guess being an adult woman grifting off of her older sister and going to a party for high schoolers isn't that hot to a teenage boy. I wonder why. She starts flirting with him, and eventually Cowboy Kenny invites her up to his room. Oh no, I don't like where this is going. Now, technically, Kenny could probably be 18 if he's a senior. It's never explicitly stated, but just because it's legal doesn't mean it's not creepy. They literally just sit for an uncomfortable amount of time on the side of his bed, and boy, can you tell this is a teenager's room. His bed isn't made, he's got a sign that says truck stuff, and just the whole vibe is the vibe of a teenager's room. And also the fact that he's so awkward helps point this out. Oh shit, the cowboy hat's coming off, folks. Hold on to your horses. They're not even looking at each other. He looks so uncomfortable when he puts his arm around her. How did this man manage to host a whole party by himself? Eventually he, very awkwardly, leans in to kiss Sadie, and they kiss. Kenny honestly looks like really disappointed. Was she really that bad at it? That even no-game Kenny is disappointed? He tells her that she can take off her mask, but she refuses, probably to hide her gross old lady face. At this point, Kenny is getting really sketched out. This is the face of so many regrets. He looks like he's about to cry. My guy, are you okay?
I think I really like you, Kenny.
Whoa. Y'all just met like 5 minutes ago. That was the final nail in the coffin for old Kenster. He's obviously panicked and not into it. He really said, "This bitch crazy." Unfortunately, his teenage boy horniness takes over and he kisses her again. And this time he really starts to go at it. Like, he really just trying to fucking be gone. But Sadie says she has to go, acting all coy and shy. You know, like she isn't a 25-year-old woman. He asks why, and she tells him that her mom is really strict. And when he says that sucks, she gets all defensive and weird. She goes on about how it means her mom really cares about her, and Kenny is straight up grimacing. He knows that he's gone, done, and fucked up. Fortunately, she leaves, and hopefully Kenny never has to see her again. So towards the middle of the movie, Sadie starts doing weird shit like dressing like Nicole and wearing a wig that looks like Nicole's hair. No one finds this weird for some reason. Nicole thinks it's cool. Okay then. They go shopping and run into Shay, who's Nicole's best friend, the one whose dad is fucking Chloe, who asks Nicole what is up with Sadie and her twinning. And Nicole just defends Sadie. She doesn't even think this is a little weird. So Nicole and Shay go to the movies, and Sadie goes home because she has a headache, but promises to pick Nicole up later. That headache seems to go away pretty quickly, however, because we see her sitting on the swing in front of their house. Brett Rivera boyfriend, who conveniently lives next door for some reason, mistakes her for Nicole, because they literally look exactly the same from behind, and calls out to her. Sadie walks away and leads him into the forest. He finally catches up to her, and she just grabs his face and kisses him. He's startled as hell, as he should be, and falls to the ground and apologizes as Sadie takes off her wig. Like, bro, she kissed him.
I've never done this before, but I want to, with you.
Hello? Surely she's not gonna.
You won't tell anyone, right? At school? I just don't want to get a reputation. It would break my mother's heart.
No, I won't tell anyone.
Damn it, no. Okay, obviously, Brett Rivera is a victim here, and although I am a bit suspicious about how easily he agrees to this, it's probably because he can tell that she's insane and is scared. Reminder that this is a teenage boy. I know, possibly 18, shut up. And a fully grown woman. Full grown.
Is this your first time?
I'm sorry. I know this is serious, but like, what is this? What is this? This feels like a fever dream. It was completely unnecessary. Afterwards, Chloe comes home and finds Sadie crying and having a breakdown. Why? Because she's turning 26. She's throwing a fit because she feels old and Chloe's just enabling it again. It's ridiculous. She completely forgets to pick Nicole up, and Nicole has to get a ride home from Shay's dad. Oh. His name is Alex. Both Sadie and Chloe treat it as a trivial little mistake and act like Nicole was being dramatic about it. Like, no, Nicole was basically stranded and forgotten about by the only parental figures she had, and was only remembered when her best friend's dad has to take her home. That's ridiculous. If my aunt did that to me, my mom would not defend her. She would be fuming. You're telling me that you're fine with your teenage daughter being alone at night with all of her texts being ignored and nowhere to go. What if there had been an emergency? Does Chloe even care about her daughter? Because it sure doesn't seem like it. Poor Nicole storms upstairs and tries to call her traumatized boyfriend, but he doesn't pick up. Eventually, Sadie crawls in bed with Nicole and apologizes, and Nicole just forgives her and says that she was probably being dramatic. They've gaslit her so far. I can't. It just makes me so mad.
Nicole and Derek.
Oh, great. Another one of these scenes. Even better. She took advantage of a teenage boy again. Great. So, do these weird images just show up when they're doing it? Is that the route they really wanted to go? Seriously? And why is it always in the woods? That can't be sanitary. That cannot be sanitary. I'm sorry. After all of that is over, Sadie confesses her love and squeals like a 5-year-old. She is so annoying, I hate her. Brent Rivera is weirded out too, and poor thing is obviously not okay with this. We're then shown the scene of the shared birthday party for Sadie and Nicole. Yeah, apparently their birthdays are close enough that Nicole doesn't even get her own party. Might I add, it is literally on the day of Nicole's birthday too. Wonderful. Everyone's there, including Shay and her dad and Brent Rivera. Somehow Sadie knows about Chloe and Alex's relationship, and while they're putting dishes away and taking out the trash, she lies to Shay that Nicole also knew and was keeping it from her. That manipulative little bitch. Shay is understandably mad and goes to drag her dad off to leave. Also, Brent Rivera leaves and didn't even get his girlfriend a present. While she walks him out, Nicole points out that he's been a real dick to her lately, pointing out that he's been ignoring all her texts, which, I get that he's traumatized and feels guilty, but not telling your partner what's going on and just suddenly acting like they don't exist is probably not the right way to cope with that. He just tells her that he has stuff going on at home and it's a lot to deal with, and Nicole gives him all the support she could. I'm sure if Brent told her what was actually happening, she would be understanding towards him. She doesn't really seem like the type to victim blame to me, but what do I know? I'm just some weirdo on the internet. So Shay finally storms out with her dad, and Nicole is confused as hell on what's going on, and I'm sorry, but this scene. Just listen.
It's okay. What's okay?
Did you hear that? Here, let me play it again. What even is that? Did he just burp? And they didn't even take the time to cut it out of the scene? I guess all the budget was blown on the Harry Potter music because this is just, it's unbelievable. So Nicole is having a pretty bad 18th birthday and is mad and confused at why Shay left. Her mom suggests they go bowling to make her feel better, but Nicole lashes out a little bit at her, which I know that it's wrong for her to take her anger out onto her mother, but aren't moms supposed to be, understanding of that sort of thing? Instead of comforting her, she asks Nicole to do the dishes. Because an 18-year-old whose best friend just shirked her for seemingly no reason on her birthday and whose boyfriend has been ignoring her would love to do the dishes for her own party. And when Nicole says that she shouldn't have to because, it's her birthday, Chloe just sends her to her room. I get Nicole's being a bit rude and irrational, but Chloe's the adult in this situation and I feel like should have a more nuanced way of handling this. Sending her to her room is just going to make her resent you in the end. Not the best parenting choice in my humble opinion. But are we really surprised?
You're a dumb cunt.
Getting spicy. Quick tip, kids. Don't call your mother a dumb cunt. It won't end well. The next part, however, is not in any sense how Chloe should have responded to that.
Get off of me! Hey! Get the cops!
Hey, maybe don't football tackle your kid to the ground. I think that's enough to be classified as domestic abuse, but I'm not sure. I think a slap might have been appropriate for the level of sass Nicole gave, but definitely not that. And then after all of that, Sadie just tells Chloe that it's okay, you're doing your best, to comfort her, as if she didn't just violently shove her own offspring onto the stairs. That's not doing your best. It's pretty easy to not hurt your child. My mom's been doing it for over 16 years. Man, I hate Sadie. Nicole dances by herself in her room. It's pretty sad, honestly. I think we've all had a time where we have felt disillusioned by how life is going. All the movies and shows makes it seem like being a teenager is so exciting and cool. And I mean, it can be, but most of the time it's just like being any other age. We'll just skip past some unimportant parts because, yeah, the only thing I'll say is that I'm constantly angered by how often Chloe makes excuses for her sister. Oh yeah, Sadie tells Nicole about Chloe and Alex and implies that Shay knew about it already because of course she does. We get a flashback that reveals that when Nicole almost got run over, it was because Sadie threw a toy plane in the road and she went to go retrieve it. This doesn't have really any relevance to the plot. Honestly, I feel like it would have been the exact same if they removed that scene. More Sadie manipulation, this time telling Chloe that the kids figured out what was happening between her and Alex. And Chloe reveals that it's getting more serious. Nicole goes to Shay's house to confront her, and then they get into another argument in which Nicole shoves Alex when he tries to intervene, which, how did she do that? This is like a fully grown man who's not exactly like small, and Nicole is not exactly someone who I'd be expecting to lift weights. Is Alex so weak that a teenager can really push him over that hard? Eventually, Shay reveals that Sadie was the one who told her, and Nicole storms off. This next scene really perplexes me. We see Sadie playing with that dollhouse from earlier, saying things like, Nicole is always around and she always copies me, and we should send Nicole away. Honestly, I'm not sure where they were trying to go with this. Like, they're making her out to be some master manipulator, but at the same time they're trying to convince us that she has the mind of a child. I'm sorry, but you can't have both and expect me to not notice. I get if she was using the acting like a child thing as another way to manipulate people, but like, no one's in the room. She's just doing this by herself. They put this in solely so we can gawk at how crazy she is or whatever. Anyways, she makes the Sadie doll kill the Nicole doll so she and the Chloe doll can be a family again. Because of course she does. But then Alex pulls up to the house, and here's where it gets crazy. So she talks to Alex where he says that he actually thinks he's in love with Chloe, which Sadie doesn't like.
Oh, my mom. I fell in love with her.
Maybe start over? Your mom's strongest prisoners.
Sweet. I can't remember the last time it was just you and me.
I love you, baby girl. Your mom was basically all I had. You can always talk to her. Always. Would you?
What even... It's like they can't pick a direction that they want this to go in. Sadie murders Alex in the garage. She doesn't even do a good job of it. Why would you use a shovel? And then when he doesn't die immediately, she sticks her finger into his brain hole. Ugh. And that does the trick. But why would you do that? That's gross. The whole time she acts horrified and disgusted with what she's done, but she continues to do it anyways. It was a long, grueling process. It wasn't just like an impulsive one and done. She really had to get in there and really make sure he was finished off. Also, she plants Nicole's locket on the scene later as if all her nasty hair isn't already all over the crime scene. All the while, Nicole is just making her way back home, which takes a while since, she doesn't have a car. Sadie drives Alex's car off to go dispose of it somewhere, and Brent Rivera sees her. That's important. That'll come up later, so remember it. Nicole gets back home and appears to be packing bags to leave. I'm not sure if it's for her to leave or for Sadie to leave. Blah, blah, blah. Sadie cleans up the crime scene. Nicole confronts her, and Sadie pretends that she has no clue what Nicole is talking about. After Nicole leaves angrily, she bangs her eyeball against the counter to make it look like Nicole hit her, and she did it awfully hard. I feel like that would have at least left a little bit of blood on the countertop. But maybe I'm expecting too much again. Chloe comes home from work and sees the black eye and immediately believes Sadie because she has no reason at all to not believe the sister who disappeared for a year and shows up randomly and is all around very obviously not mentally stable. Nicole comes back, tries to explain herself. Chloe doesn't listen because she's an idiot. Nicole is also an idiot and threatens Sadie when she hears about the lies, and of course we'll later find out that Sadie recorded that. I'm kind of disappointed in Nicole, honestly. I thought she was smarter than that. And the audio on that voice recording is way too good. It's better than my audio. Am I really supposed to believe that that was taken from inside a pocket on a mobile phone? Shay comes over and explains that she hasn't seen her dad, and they call the cops, and for some reason no one has gone into the garage. Am I the only one whose family goes in there all the time? Like, we have stuff in there. We need to be in and out there, like, several times a day. The next day, Sadie goes wandering off to lead Brent Rivera into the woods again, and Nicole sees this and follows her because she suspects something is up. Then Chloe sees Nicole and follows her. It's a little train situation. Blah, blah, blah. Sadie leads him into the woods, pretends they're gonna do it, then slits his throat and blames it on Nicole. And of course, Nicole wrestles the knife out of her hands to keep her from stabbing anyone else, and then Chloe appears, and Sadie blames Nicole, and of course Chloe believes her, and they catch Nicole, who runs from Sadie because I would too. We see the cops grilling Nicole, the audio recording comes into the equation, no one believes her, but of course that would be too good of an ending because of the horror aspect of being convicted of a crime you didn't commit. So they have the cops find Sadie's hair in the car, and she's now the prime suspect. Oh joy, what a 180. Totally didn't see that coming. The end is her interrogation, where Sadie regresses into a child again because, yeah. She asks if her mom is coming to get her, but when the cops point out that her mom has been dead for a while, she backtracks and says Chloe is who she thinks of as a mom because she mostly raised her, yada yada yada. She keeps asking to see Chloe, and the cops are like, bro, she's with her daughter, because I guess now she's just decided to be a mom. In response to that, Sadie says that it's impossible because Nicole has been dead for 10 years. Trying to get that insanity plea, are ya? I'll tell you, it's not much better than jail from what I've heard. I'll just show you the last clip before this movie ends.
She needs me. And I need her. We're all each other has. We're family.
This makes me so mad. They had the chance to at least redeem themselves just a little by making Sadie say, we're kindred spirits, to match the name of the movie, but they didn't because they just mess everything up. And that's where it ends. That's where it ends, and thank goodness it's over because that was terrible. It was shit. I hope you enjoyed the video because I didn't. Remember to drink water because I sure as hell won't, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.
I bite at the hand that feeds me, slap at the face that eats me, some kind of animal cannibal.